last month and is already a hit with viewers. And he's got not just one, but two films in theaters right now, Black Phone 2 and what Prime anchor Lindsay Davis just spoke to him about, Blue Moon, directed by Richard Linklater. Take a look.
I've been drinking ginger ale all night. Well, except for this second, because this second we have to celebrate. This is the greatest musical in the history of American theater. No, I'm not drinking with you, Larry. Okay, all right. Ouija, shoot this, huh?
What? Oh,
Yeah, no.
Larry, I gotta...
Okay. Rogers and Hart, together again.
Ethan Hawke, such a pleasure to have the conversation with you. Thanks so much for making the time.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have quite a number of projects all coming out at the same time. Busy Man, The Lowdown, Blue Moon, Black Phone 2. How do you go from just project to project like that?
I feel like, you know, those images of the old-time actors at their horse and carriage, and the carriage has all the costumes in the back, and they'd pull into a town and put on 5 plays over a weekend or something and drive away. That's kind of what I've been doing with my whole life.
You and Richard Linklater waited 12 years for you to age into this role of Lorenz Hart. During that time, during that long wait, how did that enhance, perhaps, your portrayal of Hart?
Oh, so much. Well, when I first started and I read the script, I didn't know that the Rogers and Hart Rogers was the same as the Rogers and Hammerstein. I didn't know that was the same man. I didn't know this story at all. I knew a little bit of Hart's music from just being a jazz fan. You know, I'd played Chet Baker and My Funny Valentine, The Lady's a Tramp, Blue Moon, obviously. They have a lot of classics, but the time period gave me to inundate myself with the music, become actually knowledgeable about that music. There's some wonderful pieces written about that era and that time, and it made it fun to do the research as opposed to panic.
Of course, Hart was a famed lyricist, but had died more than 80 years ago. What made you want to really take on his life?
No, I got you some flowers.
Aw, I'm overwhelmed.
I have that effect on people.
There was something magic in the idea of this movie, to go to the opening night party of Oklahoma. It's this moment when America was changing. We're right in the middle of the war. The jazz age is being left behind. There's this new thing that's about to start happening. Oklahoma is a funny musical because we all know it. And of course, it's a musical that's nostalgic for a world that never existed. You know, and it's when America starts to see itself in the third person and narrativize itself as a hero. There's a lot that's extremely interesting to me about it.
Talk to us about the set. You actually appear smaller. Of course, you got the balding head. You're really not recognizable. This seems like quite a departure from the typical roles that we see you play. How was it that all of these pieces that come together to help you really embody Lorenz Hart?
It was so much fun. I was basically like, I've spent 30 years acting, and each job I kind of learn one little tool to put in my toolkit, you know, and then this movie required all of them to be in use, you know, from voice and speech to hair and makeup to characterization, body and movement. Everything they try to teach you in theater school is like, oh, this job needs it all. And so I loved it. It's definitely the hardest I ever worked.
Is that right? Why so?
The physical stuff, trying to do the height. You know, Lorenz Hart is a foot shorter than I am. And it's a really important part of his character because he can't stop talking, and his relationship to the world, he kind of feels if he stops talking, no one will see him. You know, he thinks he's being ignored all the time.
I want 10 copies of that.
Great. Write me a check.
And then he has arthritis, he's a bad alcoholic, so there's all the physical elements. And then the simple verbiage, the amount of text I had to memorize. We had 15 days to shoot it, you know, so I was never not working.
Obviously, you have a history of working on Broadway. How did that really help? Because it felt like this was a play.
The history of theater and movies and things tells us because it's in one place, it could be a play. What's beautiful about it being a movie is the intimacy and putting, what cinema can do is actually put you at the party. And so I do love the theater. I did my first professional play when I was 12 years old. I've been at a ton of opening night parties. I know the energy and the vibe in the room, what that's like. It feels life and death In a way, it is professionally.
I have to say, too, so impressive, the dialogue, because really there was a point for maybe 30 straight minutes. It felt like we were just hearing from your character.
Yeah, he cannot stop talking. I felt like when I was playing it, I felt like he's a man who's in front of a firing squad. You know,
And as long as he has words.
As long as he has words, they're not going to shoot. And the second he loses his language, he's dead.
The head has nothing to do with the madness of love.
Talk to us about FX's The Lowdown.
Yeah.
You play the character Lee in this crime drama who describes himself as a truth historian. What made you become interested in playing this role?
Well, Sterling Harjo is, I always say Harjo like he's some French filmmaker. It's Harjo. And he's an amazing artist. And I loved Reservation Dogs. And I thought I really want to work with this person. And we created this whole show. And the show, I just love it. You say true story, and that's what my character describes himself as. And he's a hot mess. You know, I mean, true story is not even a word, but he has a point, which is where history and truth intersect.
Sure.
And if you don't, you know, sunlight is the best disinfectant. You got to tell the truth or you don't understand where you're at.
Let's just say that I am obsessed with the truth.
So I fell in love with this character, and I highly recommend the show.
We highly recommend it as well. I think that one thing that we see, kind of a common thread with Blue Moon and also The Lowdown, is this kind of attraction to telling these stories of Americana, right? Which we've seen you playing those kinds of roles quite often. What draws you into these kinds of stories?
Well, I feel like it's my job. The artistic community is kind of the collective consciousness of a nation. And if our health is good, it's kind of like the mental health. When the arts thrive, it's a sign that the mental health of a country and a society and a culture is strong.
Of course, Sinister, The Purge, Black Phone, and now the sequel.
Movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you got to have some fun too. You know, part of a movie's job is to be fun. So I like a good scary movie.
And so is it kind of just the entertainment, the shock factor that it has drawn you into that horror genre?
I've never had more fun in my life than being with a group of friends watching a scary movie. There's something that brings you together about it. There's something about the popcorn flying in the air, or maybe when I was younger, having a young woman clutch my arm and feel like, it's okay, we're gonna get through this. You know, I mean, there's something about it that I just love. And so Scott Derrickson directed all the ones that I've done, and he's a brilliant guy. You know, it's funny, up there's a picture of the Scottish play, a.k.a. Macbeth, and that's the original scary movie, right? Whenever theater companies in the old days needed to make money, you put on Macbeth, and everybody comes.
That's right. Ethan Hawke, we love to watch you, and whether it's movies, play, shows, thank you so much for what you do.
Well, I love doing it, so thank you.